Hello everybody, I'm TJ Kirk, aka The Amazing Atheist, and recently I saw an article on Buzzfeed about 20 young people at an anti-gay marriage rally who were asked, why do you support traditional marriage? Traditional marriage being between one man and one woman. Man, penis, woman, vagina. That's how it's supposed to work, because that's God's will. I'd like to go over their answers because each young person who was asked wrote out their answer on a sheet of paper and they held it up and they took a picture, and we're now going to look at those pictures and discuss them. So let's get the fuck started. Now, remember as we go through this list that these people's signs are in response to the question, why do you support traditional marriage? This girl's answer is, 'cause it's the right thing. I can't see myself being with a woman. Ew. Actually, it says with a women. With a women. Ew. And then a dead face with X's for eyes and a frown. Well, I don't know if anyone ever explained how gay marriage works, but it's not mandatory, you fucking idiot. You can't see yourself being with a women? Then don't be with a women. You can still manage your life according to your standards. Because is against God law is a deadly sin. Now, aside from the atrocious grammar, which maybe English is not this person's first language, or maybe they were taught to write by chipmunks, I don't know. They were probably homeschooled by fundamentalist Christian parents. Anyway, as for the argument, it's God's law. How the fuck would you know what God's law is? I mean, obviously, I'm an atheist. I don't believe in God. But even if I did, I would not presume to understand his will. It's written in the Bible. It is true in all means. The marriage of one man and one woman is what is right and what is true. I would not be the amazing kid I am now without my loving mom and dad. I support the truth of one man and one woman marriage. You would not be the amazing kid you are now without your loving mom and dad. The amazing kid who is attending a rally for bigots stuck in the Dark Ages. Yes, pardon me if I am not amazed. It's written in the Bible. Actually, it's written in Leviticus, the same book of the Bible that also tells you not to mix fabrics. So if you've ever worn polyester, congratulations, you're going to hell. I support marriage because, I'm sorry, she inserted between a man and a woman, between marriage and because. I guess she forgot that part. Because as God says, I believe. As a true follower, I believe of him, and I love him. Well, this is the same argument as the last guy. God said. Well, if a man and a man were to marry, God would have made a man and a man in the beginning and would make fall in love, but he made a man and took the rib of a man and placed it in the woman so they should be together. I'm going to just give this one the benefit of the doubt and assume that maybe the person who wrote it was like 9 or 10 because you really can't see their face. It's the nature that God gave us and it should stay that way. Well, let me ask you this. If it's the nature that God gave us, then how could we conceivably defy it? I mean, everything that exists within observable reality is part of nature. So, two men having sex with one another is natural. We know it's natural because those men are part of nature and they exist in the natural world and they are engaging in that behavior, which automatically makes it a natural behavior. So if God gave us this nature, then how can you claim that certain things in nature are not God's will and other things in nature are? God says, honor your mother and father, not your mother and mother or your father and father. Well, that's a very strange way of interpreting God's word. God says, oh, honor your father and mother. not your mother and mother or your father and father. Therefore, God is against gay marriage. Well, let me ask you this. If God said, go forth, my people, and eat the fish from the lake, would you say then that steak is immoral because God clearly said to eat fish? I mean, just because God excluded something from his speech doesn't mean that you can automatically fill in the blank and assume that God must therefore have this or that feeling about it. Obviously, once again, I'm an atheist. I don't believe in God, but I'm just arguing with you on your own level here. I'm allowing you to presume that your God is real, even though there's no evidence for that. But even if you were going to accept the premise of God, and even if you were going to accept that the Bible is his divinely inspired word, there's nothing in there that is definitively against gay marriage. The only verse that is explicitly condemning homosexuality appears in Leviticus, which you guys obviously do not follow anything else in Leviticus, so why would you follow that? God created humans as man and woman. It should not be changed or redefined. Well, let me just ask you this. If God created humans as man and woman, and then gay marriage comes along, what is gonna change? How does anything change? How does gay marriage at all affect that there's going to be men and there's going to be women, and that sometimes men and women are going to get together? I mean, the human race is not going to stop. There just seems to be this strange presumption among all of these sign holders that gay marriage, once instituted, will be mandatory. It will become the norm and all people will have to do it. That's not the case, I can assure you. You will be able to continue having your wonderful heterosexual relationships. Because we as young people need parents for so many things, and men and women make the people they produce. I guess I ran say ill like that, and if you put all the guys on one island, they won't last long. Ravs, you need woman and one man. What? Because God created us that way. Obviously he didn't, because there's gay people. Because it's God's way. It's God's way! God's way or the highway! I believe in traditional marriage because it's the right way. You could say that about anything. That if you can make an argument that what you're arguing for can be substituted with literally anything else, then you're making a shitty argument. I believe in genocide because it's the right way. I believe in chopping my balls off and shoving them down my throat because it's the right way. I believe in stabbing babies because it's the right way. I mean, you could put anything there. It's a shitty fucking argument. It's a non-argument. It's really just a reaffirmation of your own belief. I believe this because I believe this because I believe this. Well, good for you. Because it right to do it. Well, that's very compelling. Fatherhood and motherhood are unique and both necessary, but I do fiercely believe our law must protect gay citizens, oh yeah. So this chick is trying to be in the middle ground. She's saying, well, fatherhood and motherhood are necessary, but I still, I don't want to fucking, round up the gays and kill them or anything. I just don't want to let them get married, because if they get married, then children will be raised with two fathers or two mothers, and that's just not permissible, even though we already live in a society where kids are raised by single parents and kids are raised by the state. And even if there were definitive evidence that a mother and a father are the ultimate combination for raising a kid, which isn't even true, they've just shown that two parents are better than one, and not that the gender of those parents matter at all. But even if that were true, which it's not, it still wouldn't be a good argument, even then, because you still have children that are raised by single parents. You still have children that are wards of the state. You still have children that are out there on the streets because they're runaways. Even if you're going to say that a mother-mother combination or a father-father combination are not as ideal as a mother-father combination, you still have to admit that they're better than the kid being on the fucking streets or a ward of the state or raised by a single mom who struggles to fucking pay the bills because she's got to work fucking constantly just to make enough money to fucking stay afloat. I can't be a princess without a king and queen. Okay, so basically you're a selfish bitch, and you should go fuck yourself. Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. YOLO. I almost feel like this girl has to be fucking trolling. I just look at her face, and I look at the YOLO, and I assume that either this is the worst person to ever exist, or this is an absolute troll. I wouldn't be here without my mom and my dad. Once again, what does this have to do with marriage equality? I don't understand. Heterosexual couples will still be able to fuck and make little babies. That nothing about gay marriage existing will change that. You understand this very simple fucking concept. Marriage is not a right. It's a call from God. Who's God, bitch? Who's God? I think everyone deserves a mom and dad. Well, I've already argued with the sentiment behind this sign, but I'd like to point something out. Look behind this girl. There's two signs. One says kids do best with a mom and dad. Another one says, you can't really see the full text, but it says something about every child deserves a mom and dad. So this girl is just parroting signs that are clearly within view of her right now. I mean, do you think that this girl really holds this as a deeply held belief, or do you think she's just mimicking those around her? I support marriage between one man and one woman as the only union which unites children to their parents. Marriage is a child-centered institution, not an adult-centered one. Okay, so does that mean that infertile people shouldn't be allowed to get married? Does that mean that people who don't want children shouldn't be allowed to get married? Does that mean that if you're married, the law should be that you have to have children? I mean, let's face it here. Children do not have to get married, okay? It's adults that have to get married. Most of the time you spend in married life, and I speak to you now as a married man, is spending time with your wife or your husband or whoever. You have to spend time with them. You have to get along with them. You have to live in the same house as them. You have to devise rules of the household that are mutually beneficial. You have to communicate. It's about the adults, sweetie. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I think that probably the most ridiculous thing about this whole issue is just the fact that it's still an issue. Like, in a reasonable world, it should just be like, hey, should we allow gays to get married like everyone else? Oh, yeah. Anyone disagree? No one? I disagree. Shut up, old fuck. And that's it. It's over. Debate done. And we move on to more important things like colonizing space. Instead of just sitting here like, I don't like when two people with penises have sex with each other because the Bible says no. You're stupid. Fuck off and die. I'm the Amazing Atheist. Peace the fuck out! If you like this video, please comment on it, rate it, and favorite it. If you don't like this video, please go fuck yourself. If you enjoy my videos here on the Amazing Atheist channel, you'd probably enjoy my book, Neckbeard Uprising. You can save $10 off the personalized edition with coupon code NECKBEARD10. And you might also enjoy my gaming channel, TJ Plays It All.